Yo, what's going on, party people? It's the kid, the one and only, El Wavy Baby himself, tapping in with y'all again. You dig what I'm saying? One time for the one time from Wavo World. You feel me? um, just want to thank y'all thank y'all as usual for tapping in, and tuning in. Of course, from day one until now. You know what I mean? Um, I always be feeling like I'm forgetting to say something in the beginning. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm not that person. And thought that crossed my mind was the whole like, subscribe thing. I don't intend on saying that because for the subject matter, um, it's just not something that I feel like is for everyone. So I'm not trying to draw nobody in like that. This is more of an explanation as to how I live my lifestyle. And for those who, walk the same path or assume to want to get into the same lifestyle as well, it's just easier understood, like, so to say, because it can be very chaotic, So, yeah, I feel like that's what I'm here for. I'm not here for the other stuff. But yeah, so what we talking about today? Ooh, we getting deep today. As you can see, I got a few books here. I didn't plan this at all. Today's vibes we're talking about, and actually I'm gonna switch it around a little bit. I'm gonna go rhythm first. And then there's an arrow drawn to compensation and neutralization. Okay. And I'll talk about what that means first, right? Then I have melanin with an arrow drawn to it, black, right? And then an arrow drawn from melanin to alchemy, and in quotation, melanin magic, right? So I'll be diving into that based on the popularization, really, of melanin popping, right? And so I'll kind of talk about what that means, right, for us, for real, right? And then reason why I have religion at the bottom, what it means, like, in the sense of evidence of that, or evidence of power through all the different spiritual beliefs, right? And kind of will expound. I don't even want to reiterate. I want to really expound on some of the stuff that I kind of just move upon on a regular, right? And I know I kind of say, but I don't detail enough, in my opinion, right? So I'll explain what that means, right? Because that's actually a pretty cool topic that I want to talk about today, right? So, starting out, like I said, I want to do rhythm first. So, law of rhythm, right, basically states, and I touched on once before, basically is that the pendulum must swing equally right as it is swung equally left, right? In simplest terms, that's what rhythm means. And on a normal, regular basis, it is always always at work, because all things are always at motion, right? So there's always a natural rhythm to how everything flows, right? You're gonna have your ups, your downs, your highs, your lows, your goods, your bads, and rhythm correlates a lot more directly with the law of polarity, which basically means, without good, there is no bad. Without, without evil, there's no good, so to say, or whatever have you. That type of principle. But again, we're not speaking on that. But that's just the basic, right? So when I talk about operating the law of rhythm, for me, it's more of a mental aspect that I'm I wouldn't say, I would say that I'm bending, right? And I have the book next to me, but I really don't want to get into it for sake of maybe this is me challenging what I really know, but even then, it's like how I understand it is that, and really how I use it is that, and this is on a regular, when I notice like certain things that are out of the aura that I'm in, if I'm in this powerful, very magnetic, very just time period of attracting just things, right? And then I notice a situation that could bring on the opportunity to move me out of that aura, out of that vibration, which when we talk about operating from the law of rhythm, let's just say I'm on the right at that time, and there's a situation, opportunity that arises, let's say, I don't know, that could frustrate me and take me out of that mindset, that could sway me back to the left, and that could bring me to now I'm removing myself from opportunities. Now I'm closing doors that were once open. Now, things of that nature. Instead of, not even if, in most cases you can see it, especially when you're operating from this perspective. Instead of engaging in it in a certain way that would bring my mentality down or morale down, or even bring my mentality again to the left. Just take me into the space that I once wasn't in, and from the space that I once was in, that was, complementing a good, really a good way of leading life at that point, right? Once you don't entertain it or don't engage it, that you neutralize it. And that's essentially what it's called. It's like a law within a law. So when I say I'm intentional about not engaging in certain, just more or less situations, because again, I've kind of said it before that I'm very aware of the law of cause and effect. So it's like opportunities arise in front of you where you can see like, if I make this decision, it can only lead to these few things. Do I want any of those outcomes? Number one. And if the answer is automatically no, using my law of rhythm, when you talk about I'm in a certain vibration, I'm trying to stay within it, doing my very best to stifle anything that's trying to stifle me, It's like just being able to see it from that perspective and make that decision to say, hey, no, I won't engage in that thing that I could only see a negative gain, not even a negative gain, a negative draw from me in this current state. And that's, again, neutralizing it, right? Now, what I talked about last time, kind of touched on a little bit within the law of rhythm, was compensation, which basically means, and it's a saying in the Kabbalion by the three initiates that they stated the Hermetists use. They were saying a man that can feel equal amount of pain feels the same amount of joy, right? And vice versa, right? And for me, it was so profound, or deep, should I say, because it hit home in a different way for me. Like when I think about just like everything I've kind of experienced, and then, you know, everything I asked for, like everything I set out to be in life. How can I not ask for anything any greater than, let me back that up to say, it's almost as if for everything that I've walked through, when you talk about the journey, it's kind of like I understand why I've been through what I've been through based on the nature of what I asked for and treasure. You know, it's like, who am I to ask for the magnitude of treasure that I asked for and then not expect, certain tests? Even if, like, to certain degrees in regard, it's like, man, I would have never imagined that type of thing. But it's like, there's no manual to this at all. There's no manual to any one person that says it's gonna go a certain way, or it has to be a certain type of style, or it has to fit a certain type of mold. Like it doesn't work that way at all, especially within consciousness, so even putting consciousness to the side for me for a second, when I think about just some of the goals that I set out upon achieving in life, again, there's no way that I could have asked for that in life and then expected it to be easy, in any degree, in any facet, in any form of life for me. When you talk about personal to financially to spiritually, like everything that I asked for, I've gone through a test in all those different departments of life, just based on how large my goals and how lofty those goals have been set for me, right? And I set those in knowing that I could achieve them. I just didn't know what it would take, at that time, right? But even then, when you talk about dealing with the nature of those situations, things like, what I talked about last time, the whole odd situation of how I got here, which I ended up just kind of resetting again, so to say. And then, just growing up, some of the things I saw, just growing up in where I'm from, in Louisiana, things of that nature, just some of those struggles. And then getting off on my own and really realizing like what it meant to be an adult. Like for real, like and learning some of the things that I had to endure to figure out how to make ends meet, weren't always some of the best decisions, but just stuff, always handling those situations with a certain type of mentality, never letting it take me from a positive mindset. Because even in the midst of some of the most negative situations, I've always intended and told myself that in coming out remain a certain way, right? And this is before I'm even knowing what it meant to abide by the law of rhythm, but it has to be that deep of a practice to a subconscious unknowingness, like to where you just consciously make these decisions and reactions these way. That's how it has to be practiced. And I'm saying all of that to say, like, again, I've always been a certain type of way. That's why this way of lifestyle for me is so soothing. it makes the most sense to me and for me. You know, nobody has to convince me of anything, especially excuse me, let me make sure I said that clearly. Nobody has to convince me of anything. And especially when I can go and find literature that not only backs it up but explains it a little deeper than what I already understand, and then it's like I'm already a type of I'm already a type of person. I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm very analytical. Like I have to have something solid, like a solid basis to come and go from when you talk about research and stuff like that. Like I'm just that type of person. You can't tell me anything at face value and think I'm just gonna believe it. You know, like no, just period. No. I think for myself. I always have, you know. And it's not so much so that it has to be in a book where I have to get that solid information or a solid reference from. If it's something that I experienced directly, and then I could speak on it directly, like even that way, you know, it just has to make sense for me. So, but yeah, it I've always just been this type of thinker in certain different ways, but coming of it has it's been deep for me. Like I say, I've built a newfound love for self in knowing like some of these things just have a solid basis, you know. But yeah, compensation. We can talk about rhythm. There's no way to ask for, you know, anything large and major and expect it to just come so easily and freely. You know, you're going to endure something that's going to teach you something about the nature of what it is you ask for. Trust that. You know, so that's what I really wanted to touch on in the law of rhythm, for sake of like, it could seem like the battle can almost seem never ending sometimes. But again, you have to think about the nature of what you're fighting for. You know, if it's something that large, that grave, that major to you, it don't matter how small it is or minute to the next man, the next person, it's major to you. You control you, your own universe, YOU. You see what I'm saying? So your own universe will magnify that so large to a point where that be the focal or focus point of life for you, right? So it's like, if you take that thing that deep, you have to know what you're doing with it. That's all I can really say. You have to really know what you're doing with it and really know what you're stepping into, right? But yeah, so number 2, essentially, it's number 1 though, melanin. So I felt like this was important in a way because just the way the media portrays it is so funny to me, because it means so many different things, and even I'm discovering a little more like how much deeper it actually is, you know. Melanin, a lot of us are stuck on the whole melanin is us as black people, and which it is. Do not get me wrong, it's not what I'm saying. It's just deeper than that. It's more or less what I'm saying. It's way deeper than us being black, right? And it's deeper than, how they say, what I hear the most often, black girl magic, right? And I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. Like if you know what you know, go for what you know. You feel me? But it's just a lot deeper than that. And I want people to be able to grasp it from a simple concept, a simple way to grasp it and use it, you know, as something meaningful to you. You know what I mean? Because again, this is stuff that I understood before I had all of the research and findings to prove what I was trying to say and the natures of what certain things meant. And it was just it's just cool to actually see it culminate to this for me in understanding, because the nature of what not even what, but the nature of how I've been using it up until a point of when I have like real understanding and then understanding of what I'm doing, on top of now direction based on having that knowledge of what I'm doing. It's like, man, like it allows me to do more with it, So yeah, I want to pull from this book right here, because I went across something. This book is titled Melanin, A Key to Freedom by Richard King, right? And do your own research as to who the author is. Very established in the subject. That's all I'll say, right? I'll leave the title in description. Where did I wanna? It was a small excerpt. I have a few things highlighted. Give me a brief second, y'all. So wait a minute. So let's just speak on skin melanin for a second, because there's several different types. And actually, before I get in, and this is coming from me, what melanin is, right? Melanin is the compound substance found majority in colored people, right? But in the nature of all things, right? What does it do? Several things, several different functions. That's why it's so much debate and turnover and excitement about what it is. It allows those who have higher volumes of to concentrate it and use it not only as a substance that determines skin pigmentation, but as a substance that from within self, man, it can do so many different things, or allow you to do so many different things. We can talk about being able to create. We talk about being able to not even just find self, but use the natural gifts and talents that you have, right? But yeah, let's just say it that way. Most people teach it that it's from the base substance of carbon, which is a lot of people explain as the 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons is the makeup of melanin, which is carbon, because of its, how many compounds and things of that nature. I'll be honest, I'm not the scientist when you talk about that type of information, but I do understand, actually overstand whenever they get to throwing the information out there directly in reference to that too. So again, do your own research on that too, right? But yeah, the gist of it, when you talk about on the base level, what most people will explain it as is that now, where is it found? Majority, majorly, in the pineal gland, which a lot of people refer to as the third eye. Just things of just what does it mean? Like, how does it suit us? How do we use it, right? And that's what I'm getting at. When I was first getting into this book, because I've gotten a little deeper into it. This isn't a book that I've been reading, but it's information that I've been hearing about for so long that I had to get my hands on it myself, right? So it says directly, Skin melanin was directly identified under the Kemetic titles of Flesh of Ra and Flesh of Heru. Now, who is Ra? Who is Heru? When you talk about the Kemetic deities, which is just Egypt, what is back up to say, what is Kemet? What does Kemetic mean? Kemet is Egypt. Kemetic means Egyptian, right? And then when you talk about who Ra is, Ra meaning God, Ra meaning God the Father, Heru, his son, meaning if you want to align it with the religion most of us come from in Christianity, Heru would be indicative to Jesus at that point. But I'll get to why that'll make a little more sense in a second, right? In relation to who we are, right? Now, melanin, or better yet, Kim meaning black, right? The Kemetic name for black. It says that directly after I explain it. That's funny. But was seen as having magical properties under the name Jet. And in parentheses, Jet meaning Christ or black. Now, that's just the name or the symbology given into not just the purpose, but should I say maybe the magnificence or the importance of what melanin serves to us in body and what they deemed it back then from those systems. So when you talk about, just think about the words that I used, right? Jet meaning Christ, which is black. And then when you talk about just in relation to even the deity names used, Ra meaning God the Father, Heru and Jesus. So it's these things having direct meanings not only to people of just color, but really all peoples. And then the people or person directly, right? And it's most people even going a little further, just to explain what it's used for. Hold on. It says, on a symbolic level, the process was rediscovered. And what is that process? We're talking about melanin magic, which is basically alchemy. How do you use it, right? And I'm about to explain that. It says, on a symbolic level, the process was rediscovered. An experience in which just the process of intense concentration of attention, which is meditation, by the observer was seen to produce a spontaneous projection of the observer's own unconscious contents unto the subject being visualized. Now, what does that mean? Hold on, let me go a little further. Symbolically, the mind, which is considered to be Mercury, just for sake of explanation, separated the gold, which is light, from the silver, which is planetary material body, which is your physical body, right? Again, now what does that mean? For the people who understand becoming alchemical and being into alchemy and transmuting, I believe it's transmuting silver into gold, right? Now, in meditation, when you use your mind to visualize whatever it was that you sought after to create, that is what is called alchemy. Now, when you materialize it, that's the magic. The substance that we use in order to do this work, should I say, in abundance, and to like, and I mean, the more concentrated, the more, not even just the more that you have, but the more practice that you use to it, the more skilled you become at it. It's just so much more than being of dark hued skin. Man, that's what I'm trying to explain. That place when you talk about in the mind, the pineal gland, it contains this substance. You know, when you go out into the sunlight, and you get these urges, these feelings when the sun rays hit you, that's the serotonin releasing. And serotonin is a substance produced by the melanin that releases into the body, that produces like happiness. It helps with your appetite, things of that nature. And at nighttime, it produces melatonin. And what that does, it not only helps you rest, but it helps you visualize in the dream realm, right? So when we talk about how this thing is used, you know, it's way deeper than just being black or being rhythmic or being of culture, or, you know, things of that nature. You know, in my opinion, it's being propagated to us and pushed as propaganda in that mannerism, but it isn't being told to us how powerful we actually are for the nature of discovery, right? If most people were to do what I'm doing for myself, which is just trying to discover what these things mean for me and how do I use them to my advantage, you know, we would be a force to be reckoned with. You know, but to each his own. Like I said initially, the reason why I don't say like, subscribe, and comment in my videos is because I don't think this lifestyle is for everybody. You know what I mean? And that's probably where I come in and talk about religion. There was something else I was reading earlier that caught my attention, like, heavily. And hold on, before I move forward, hold on, y'all. There is something else I wanted to say about melanin before I move forward. Give me 3 seconds, y'all. I want to like make sure like it makes sense. All right. So yeah, last but not least, I wanted to give like how the book describes melanin is used, right, and what it's for. And it says African spirituality, far from being a spacey, flighty, or vague phrase, is a palpable, vibrant life force that is real and can be measured by many physical scientific standards, right? Which is what the basis of what this book is about. Dr. Richard King did a very, very awesome job of not only putting together the research in a way that was digestible, but also giving you the reference points to further evaluate like other reference points that he used to put together this information to make it digestible, right? But yeah. Lastly, it says melanin itself on a philosophical plane is a black chemical biological door through which the life force of African spirituality passes in moving from the spirit realm into the material realm, right? So basically, reason why I say if we take the time to learn, for self, how melanin could be used to our own advantages, we all come from all these different backgrounds still within that black culture. So all of us tapping into all the different resources that we have within us when you talk about information with those, ancestors passing through and giving us certain guidance into certain things. We would be some of the most powerful people on earth. We already are, and it's a lot of people that know our power, right? It's a lot of people that know our power, but it's not a lot of us that know our power, right? And being that it's not a lot of us that know our power, it ain't even about rising up. It's just the change that some of us talk about seeing. It's kind of hard to come about, but you got to be that change yourself. I've been talking about that, but it's the only way to get that or reclaim that. Not even just to us as a group, but to self first. So yeah. Now, regarding the information that I just spoke on, part of the reason why I have no ill feeling or disregard to any religions or any religious cultures or spiritual beliefs and backgrounds, because they all are kind of saying that according to that culture is being led wherever that group of people is. And I've kind of always felt that way, especially the older I got. Again, around that age of like, the funny story, when I was in college, I took a visual arts class. And this is when I started really measuring the spectrum of thought on Christianity, at least at that time, much less religion. And it was like, I'm in visual arts class and the lady's teaching blah 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 whatever early Christian Roman depictions of art, and a lot of it was all religious based, and it was like before Christ picturings. And I just remember one of the pictures, Jesus looked like a Spartan, man. And I was just like, yo. I remember like literally, I'm on the last maybe 4 or 5 rows of class, but like, I'm like, yo, man, you got Jesus in here looking like a Spartan kid. Like, y'all, come on, bro. Like, this ain't like how it go, man. I done read the book a couple times for real, bro. Like, y'all not finna sit here and tell me that this who this man is. Like, but it's like, I'm not loud enough to disrupt the whole class. But for the section that heard me, they didn't just laugh. Like, they kind of pondered my thought. I'm like, nah, ain't no way y'all gonna tell me to believe a certain way, but then believe the same depictions that y'all giving me, which are different from what the belief system is. Like, it just wasn't adding up for what she was explaining at that time. And I can't fully explain you what triggered me further than that, because it was something else too to add to that, because it was just before the Spartan picture. I'm like, it was another depiction, but then there was another reasoning for the depiction, and it was trying to tell us something about the early system was trying to get a more feasible depiction of Jesus for the public. And I was just like, huh? This is why I was in college. Like, again, every bit of 18, 19 years old, listening to this information at that time, already having a certain, spiritual connection with who God is. So it wasn't confusing. It was maybe I'm not sure if the proper word is discerning, but it was frustrating. Let's say that, to say the least. It was definitely frustrating. But saying and to say, this information is is everywhere. Like it's within all these different cultures, different religious backgrounds and spiritual beliefs too. And again, I just picked up this book, but I've listened to it maybe 4 to 5 times on YouTube. In the coming years, I actually just listened to it one more time. It will be in 2024 by the time this drops, but it's 2023. It's actually New Year's Eve, so happy New Year's to you. But the Occult Anatomy of Man by Manly P. Hall, right? Again, like I said, I've listened to it like 4 or 5 times in the coming years. I actually just listened to it again, but I like to have things tangible to make sure that I understand what I'm consuming, right? And it's in the first couple pages for me. See something. It says, hold on 2 seconds. I just want to get directly to the space that'll make the most sense in correlation, right? It's like, hold on. So really the very first sentence, it says, in scripture we are told that God made man in his own image. It is so stated not only in the Christian Bible, but also in the holy writings of nearly all enlightened people. And you know what? I'll just read this next sentence behind that. The Jewish patriarchs taught that the human body was the microcosm or little cosmos, made in the image of the macrocosm or the great cosmos. And just reading that to someone who only would look at one book as the almighty ending and truth, the end all be all, it's almost counterproductive to argue a point of end all be all in truth in that when everybody's saying the same thing. And that's the basis and principle that I'm walking on, and best that I could explain it, right? I'm not arguing with anyone in what they believe and what their system is, because I understand what we're fighting for. We're fighting for self. We're fighting to free self. It's not about just being right. If you're truly a spiritualist, you're fighting for that freedom to unlock your soul, like to figure out the key to that, how to do it. And for me, this is that. That's literally all I'm saying. You know what I mean? But I ain't even gonna keep y'all too long today. You know, I feel like last time was long enough and explaining how I got here. But yeah, that's just kind of what I wanted to touch on today for you guys, and give y'all like a wraparound understanding of the approach to, or a practical approach to, you know, consciousness and how to use it, you know, and what things mean. And it's not so hard to understand and put a hand on, so to say. And it's not something or a world that's so crazy and has to be so chaotic in theory or thought. It can be placed together, even though all these things come from all these different places, you know. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else for y'all. So if anything, like I said, Happy New Year's. You guys stay safe. You know, y'all stay up. Y'all stay blessed. You dig? Love.